From the alley-oops at Keysar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. We're excited. We're ready to bring you guys another episode. We got some great content. We got some cool topics to talk about, Horse.
Yeah, we got a lot of interesting stuff. It's almost time for the offseason to kick into full swing. We're excited about it. Be ready.
But before you can get ready, you have to hit that subscribe button. You need to subscribe to the 49ers Cutback page and make sure you hit that notification bell while you're at it.
Ding, ding.
Because once you do, you get notified on everything we got coming up. Because once the offseason gets into full swing, you don't want to be away from this page. We're going to have content flying at you from every which direction. It's going to be glorious. But we got an episode specifically today that you guys are going to love.
Yep. I don't usually motivate people this way.
Oh my God.
But if your friends are doing it, you should too.
Wow. Peer pressure.
Yeah, make sure you join the conversation. We had a lot of good conversations on some of our recent videos.
Absolutely.
Make sure you join. It's fun. But we got a very interesting topic because it's time for Jimmy to take less G's. Should Jimmy Garoppolo go to the 49ers? Not the 49ers go to Jimmy Garoppolo, but should Jimmy Garoppolo go to the 49ers like Tom Brady did with the Patriots and say, give me less money, restructure my deal so we can bring back all the players we need to bring to make this team successful and get to a Super Bowl?
I think in an ideal situation that it would be the most intelligent thing he could do. It's clear that, like, when you hear that a guy like Matt Stafford would be $4 million in savings to get instead of Jimmy G, that he might be making a little bit too much money. On the other hand, I cannot blame him if he does not do this because they signed him to the contract. And, you know, it's all about making as much money as you can while you can in a violent sport like football. But, yeah, I think if he was smart, if he wants to be the quarterback next year for the 49ers and he wants to have as much success, well, hopefully one game more success than he had in 2019, yes, because freeing up some money could allow them to bring back guys like Juice, guys like Jason Verrett, Emmanuel Mosley. You know, you guys know the names. I don't need to go on and on. But, yeah, just taking some of that money off would be a real great help to the team. But I can't blame him if he doesn't do it.
I wouldn't blame him either. And if Richard Sherman was in the locker room, Richard Sherman would be telling him, absolutely not, under no circumstances do you go back. But Richard Sherman...
Boo this man!
He ain't in the locker room. He ain't going to be anywhere near the San Francisco 49ers. Exactly. Man, we really turned on Richard Sherman real fast on this podcast, boys.
I don't hate Sherman.
Really quick on
I don't hate him either.
We don't dislike him. I don't think any of us dislike him, but some of the stuff that was being said, not big fans of. But that's, for me, yes, Jimmy should approach the 49ers. Yes, he should ask to take a little bit less to free. I mean, in a realistic world, the Niners went out on a limb with not a lot of information on your ability and your skill sets as a quarterback and what you could do long term, and put faith in you and paid you a good amount of money. You haven't really lived up to that amount of money. You had the one good season. We went to a Super Bowl. We got really close. Real close. Expectations were high for this year, and for a second year now in 3 years where you're supposed to be the guy, the starter, you're not playing half of the games in a San Francisco 49ers uniform. Some of that isn't your fault. Some of it, in terms of production, in terms of the things when he was healthy, does fall at his feet and is his responsibility. I feel that there's a middle ground. If you're Jimmy Garoppolo and if you're the 49ers, if you want this relationship to be salvaged, then Jimmy has to be the one to offer this up for there to be any sort of compromise if Jimmy's going to stay. If Jimmy stays in San Francisco, what you said and the question you posed is how it happens. Jimmy has to extend that olive branch and be like, look, you guys believed in me when no one else would. You traded for me. You paid me with 5 games to my name, essentially, in San Francisco. I appreciate that. I want to show you that I'm the guy of the future. I want to show you that I'm the guy that you paid that $100 million contract to, and I'm going to be that guy for you. Give me a little less. Let me prove it. Bring the guys back around me that are going to help me and this team be successful and continue to be successful, and we'll cash in a few years when the salary cap goes back up and there's more room and more flexibility for the team to do stuff. That is the most reasonable thing he could do. It's the most logical thing he could do. For his career, I think it's the best option because I don't know if there's a better fit out there that's going to pay him what he wants to make and to be a fit for him. There's a handful of teams, and I don't know if they're going to make the move for him now with his contract the way it is and not expect him to take less money. This is the best way to get it done for Jimmy's legacy.
Yeah, you said it right. It's about legacy. And one of the things that Jimmy has to do is make sure that he is seen in a positive light. And right now, everything is negative that you hear about Jimmy Garoppolo, even from press in the Boston area where he was very well liked and everyone loved him as a possible heir apparent to Tom Brady. Now even they have soured on Jimmy Garoppolo, thinking that maybe he's not the most talented guy. And so now he needs to make this move. He needs to go to the front office right now and tell them, I will play for less money. I want to restructure. Not only for the fact that it's a good will gesture and they'll bring back players, also because it restructures the way the money is given to him so he can ensure that he still gets money. Because if they restructure Jimmy Garoppolo, then that will guarantee next year's contract. That will prevent him from getting cut. And if he gets cut this year, then he, landing somewhere else and getting an opportunity to start might be in the rearview mirror for him. So he needs to make sure he does this right away before the 49ers really get out there and find a better replacement than him. I think Jimmy would go a long way with teammates. It would be hard then for the front office to move on from him if this got to public knowledge. He doesn't share stuff publicly, but I think he should get out there and try to make this happen. Bring the team together. It's kind of in disarray a little bit, the players, as in who's going to come back. You see guys still saying Jimmy Garoppolo's a winner, Jimmy Garoppolo's a winner. Well, with only one season of real success, there's no proven record of Jimmy Garoppolo being a winner. So he needs to do this now before it's too late and ensure not only his legacy, but future contracts down the line. And that's really what needs to happen, because if he was able to get the 49ers over the hump because he restructured his deal, he would have all kinds of leverage to push them to get another big contract, and the 49ers would have to give it to him because the fans would push for it. That's what needs to happen. I just don't know if he's got the wherewithal, the guts to do it, but he should.
In a bit of surprising news on the NFL draft front, NFL.com's Daniel Jeremiah released his first mock draft and had the 49ers taking University of Florida's Kyle Pitts at the number 12 pick. Kyle Pitts is a tight end / receiver type player. Since that is your video game alma mater, Alex, we'll let you go first.
My video game alma mater, I like that. I wish I was an actual alma mater of U of F, but I'll settle for that. That's the next closest.
University of Florida.
It's awesome. Kyle Pitts is a phenomenal talent, but this absolutely stunned me when I saw it and when I first heard about it. At 12, with the Niners being pretty set at the tight end position, I feel that this is a stretch. I understand the thought process behind it, the things that it could bring to the table, the things it could do for the offense, the fact that you'd be bringing in a guy who's younger than Jordan Reed, who also is a University of Florida alum, but is younger than him and can add the same sort of dynamics and versatility to the team that a Jordan Reed that you try to do with a Jordan Reed. But we also saw how that didn't play out well this year for the Niners when you don't have the quarterback on the field. And so I feel it's a little bit more of a risky scenario bringing in a guy like Kyle Pitts at that position in the draft when you have so many other holes that need to be addressed and filled. There's going to be cornerbacks at that spot you could potentially get. There could be some edge rushers at that position that you could get. There's some O-line depth that would help us as well that you could pick up right there in the middle of that draft at pick 12. Going at tight end when you've taken as many tight ends as we've taken in the last few years, I think it would be a knock on the guys you drafted. I think it would mean that most of the guys you picked haven't really hit or worked out the way you intended. I don't think it's reasonable at that spot, but I don't think it's the worst decision that could be made either.
I think it comes down to best player available or need. And when you're a good team, you want to take the best player available. The 49ers aren't going to be picking 12 all the time. So if he gets there, that means all the quarterbacks are gone. In Daniel Jeremiah's scenario, the quarterbacks are gone. So Kyle Pitts is sitting there. And he's a matchup problem, right?
Correct.
He was talking about positionless players. We talk about that all the time with Deebo Samuel, Jalen Hurd, and even Brandon Ayuk. They can play multiple positions, running back, receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy can do the same thing. He's a matchup nightmare with his size, the way he's able to go up and fight for the ball. He's a very good player, and a player that Kyle Shanahan could have a lot of fun with, and I think that's what Daniel Jeremiah was talking about, is just the fact that the mad scientist could get himself another weapon. We've already seen the fun things he could do with Deebo Samuel, with Brandon Ayuk, and with George Kittle. Adding this guy to the scheme would be fantastic. This is part of the reason that I wanted to draft Chase Claypool last year, was what he would add to the offensive lineup. Pitts is similar size to Chase Claypool. He's not as fast, so he's not like a receiver like Claypool is, but he would give you the same sort of thing that I was looking for, which is the down-the-seam threat that would open things up for Kittle underneath and also cause matchup problems for shorter corners, which you're going to need, especially playing in the West when you're going against Jalen Ramsey and those kind of guys. Mm-hmm. They're going to lock up Ayuk, and you're going to need guys to be able to operate underneath. Hopefully, we can start taking the top off, and if we can, he could be a big-time player for them. I'm not sure they would go this way, but I would. If it was 12 and he was there still, and there wasn't, the only other guy I would take over him if he was still there was Penei Sewell. If for some reason he slipped, which he never will, but I would definitely take Pitts at 12 if he was available.
Do you think we can get someone to put up like pictures of Penei Sewell smoking a bong, like
I'm willing
Larry Tunsil?
And
I'm willing to go to Oregon and see what's up.
So I kind of agree with you. Kyle Pitts, I don't think it's as far-fetched as you made it out to be, Alex, because the 49ers, like Jeremiah says in the article, have sort of embraced positionless football on offense, at least at skill positions, obviously. It's not the guy I would pick there. It's not my first idea, but I wouldn't be upset if they got him. He can do what we hope Jordan Reed would do in the offense. He's phenomenal talent. He would take pressure off all the other skill position guys. And could you imagine if Jalen Hurd turns out to be close to what we think he can be, having Hurd, Kittle, Pitts, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk all on the field at the same time?
Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, that's NASCAR offense right there. Yep. And it's, if for people that are thinking, oh, you can't have too much talent at one spot, I hope you watch the AFC Championship game, because look at the Chiefs. They're loaded at every offensive position, and they still all find enough touches. So, I mean, I don't think this is where they're going to go. I'd be pretty surprised if they did, but it's actually pretty spot on as far as understanding Kyle Shanahan's thought process as far as offensive football is.
Do you agree with me, or do you agree with those two?
With us.
On this Kyle Pitts, Daniel Jeremiah taking him at 12. Let us know in the comments section down below. We care. We want to know what you think as well. And while you're at it, make sure you like and subscribe to the page, because now
Florida's like tight end U.
They are tight end U at this point. But now we're going to be talking about JJ and Demeco Ryans.
Alex getting happy. JJ Watt conversation.
I mean, listen, I'm a big JJ Watt fan. Big fan of the work ethic. Big fan of the things he does and what he's about. And a lot of that probably stems from his time around Demeco Ryans, because his understanding of the game is next level as a player and as a coach. He probably picked up a lot from the guy, and now that he's the new DC, there's a little bit of a connection there between the two. And with JJ not being too happy, what are you guys' thoughts on this connection? Could that play any sort of role in getting him here to San Francisco, or entice him to want to find a way to get here?
I think J.J. Watt would love to get out of Houston, and I think the 49ers would be a favorable destination, especially with the connection with Demeco Ryans. They played together. As soon as Demeco Ryans got promoted, J.J. Watt was, forthcoming with his praise and adoration of, our guy Demeco Ryans, and we really like him too. And I think that J.J. would love to do it. I'm not sure the Texans are going to move on from him. He basically, the way the salary works, they don't get any benefit out of letting him go. They would have to trade him, and I'm not sure the 49ers would put forth a big enough package to be able to get him. There are always dreams about getting J.J. Watt, and I would love to have J.J. Watt on the team. But I do think the connection makes a possible scenario where he could push his way out. These players have leverage and are able to push themselves out of certain situations. If he pushed hard enough because of who he is, he could probably get to a team that he wanted to go to. I think the 49ers would be one of the top on that list because of his connection with Demeco Ryans and the type of defense the 49ers run, plus the atmosphere that Kyle Shanahan sets. So that he would be a possibility to reconnect with Demeco Ryans if the Texans ever let him out of his contract.
I'm going to start out with this. I think if you wouldn't want J.J. Watt on your defensive line, you're silly. J.J. Watt is a beast. And I do think that there's a good connection there because of the praise he heaped on Demeco Ryans when he got the promotion. So evidently the two have maintained some sort of at least mutual respect, if not friendship, since the years they played together. But I think if you want to talk about J.J. Watt having connections, there's a guy in Pittsburgh that he might be a little more connected with than...
Two of them.
Yeah, two of them than Demeco Ryans, unfortunately. Once again, I'd love to see it happen. I just think the chances of J.J. Watt ending up in San Francisco are very small. I think it's a place he would want to go, and I think the Niners would want him, but it's just money-wise, he would have to take a smaller contract, and then you'd have to beat out, if Pittsburgh wanted him at all, you'd have to beat out the one of playing with his brothers.
True. That is true.
That's
and
accurate.
that's not something I had even considered, so I appreciate you bringing that up.
You're welcome.
But a point that Ant brought up is why I think there's actually a really good chance
So
that
you're
he
telling
could.
me there's a chance.
Exactly, there is a chance. I think he could end up in San Francisco, and that is the fact that over this season we have seen the evolution of J.J. Watt as a leader, from a guy who just does it on the field and doesn't say a whole lot in the media or about guys, to someone who's being a lot more vocal about the things that he wants, what he desires, and what he thinks is best for the organization. It's part of the reason why Bill O'Brien is out in Houston, and it's part of the reason that he may end up, as you said, Ant, force his way out of Houston, especially if things aren't going the way he's going. He has a connection in Pittsburgh. I didn't even think about that, so he could try and force his way to be with family in a stable, semi-stable environment there in Pittsburgh. But I think a connection with someone like Demeco Ryans, who he first came into the league with, that he learned a lot from as a mentor, and is now moving into a role, his first ever role as a D coordinator with a lot of responsibility. A guy like JJ may be willing to reconnect with a guy who was a mentor and showed him the ropes when he first got in the NFL to help him establish himself as a D coordinator, and there's no better place than the San Francisco 49ers defense. So I do think it's more of a possibility than maybe you were saying,
I hope so.
I have two reasons why it backs up your statement. Number one, if he forces his way out and he wants to go to the Steelers are paying Ben Roethlisberger $41 million, so that will make it hard.
Yeah.
Reason number two, the Texans would rather send him to the NFC than the AFC, where they would have to get tormented by him.
Correct.
So I think those are good reasons for him to move on, and why Pittsburgh might not make sense. Now, if Big Ben moves, then it becomes a real possibility.
Absolutely.
None of this Dwayne Haskins BS, so that guy's garbage. So that's not going to happen. But the 49ers, had a bunch of guys going through interviews. We lost Sala. He took some coaches. But it also was going to hit the front office. We were worried about Martin Mayhew and Adam Peters. Of course, Martin Mayhew became the GM of the Washington redacted football team.
I like it.
And now, because of that happening, the 49ers also get a kickback of a third-round compensatory pick, making it so they have a third-round compensatory pick in 2021, 2022, and 2023. 2 for Robert Saleh, 1 for Martin Mayhew. What do you think about the loss of Martin Mayhew, and how will it affect the 49ers in the future? And are you happy about getting that nice third-round compensatory pick?
Real quick, did you say $41 million?
I did.
You think the guy could afford a gym membership and a personal chef at that point?
What he got was a freezer and a lot of Ben & Jerry's.
So Martin Mayhew for a third rounder, I'll take it. I think Martin Mayhew is a very good executive, but I also think the 49ers have a front office filled with them, and I'm happier to keep Adam Peters and lose Mayhew than lose Peters and keep Mayhew. So I don't know. I mean, he's a guy that's good at his job. He will be a loss of some substance, but I think it's not like losing John Lynch. It's not even losing Peters. It's not like losing Parag. He was a good guy to have on the staff, but I think, the front office will survive. I like that third round pick. So
Yeah, the third round pick for Mayhew, just kind of like, when I heard it was a third round compensatory, I was like, oh, okay, well then, yeah, see you, bye, have fun. Have fun with the name redacteds. They are doing a lot to try and change their culture. I think for them, this was another step in that direction of culture change, culture shift, pull somebody from an organization that has established a fairly decent culture and has had a lot of success up until this season with the injury-plagued 2020. Thank you so much, appreciate it. But I think the compensatory pick, that third-round pick, it makes that boo-boo not as much of a boo-boo. It's just kind of like, oh, it's a little scrape, we're going to be all right. It's not like he said losing Pierce. If this had been Pierce, Peters, excuse me. If it had been that, no. Big no. Torch and pitchforks down to DC. It would have been like, what are you guys doing? Name redacted. You don't even name your team. You can't just be pulling guys. That's not what's happening. Good luck. I hope you help the name redacteds figure it out. Maybe Mayhew will come up with a name for the name redacteds. Maybe that's
he's worth a third rounder.
Absolutely worth a third rounder.
I mean, it's pretty much known that if you have a good team and you build well, that you're going to lose front office personnel. I hate when it happens because then you kind of lose the chemistry that goes on in the front office. I know we've held on to the main guys, but Mayhew was there to help give John Lynch, the ability to learn the position and to make good decisions. He's been in a lot of front offices. So he was a good person to have around. He had wisdom. He knew about evaluating talent. So it's hard to lose a guy like that. Yes, the new rule, so a third-round pick really does help for the 49ers. The fact that they have 3 coming just shows that Kyle Shanahan is making sure he always hires the best person, that John Lynch always hires the best person, and then now it's taking effect. These guys are going to keep moving on, and the 49ers are going to have to keep planning for it, but overall, I think it'll be okay. I'm with you guys. I would have not liked to lose Adam Peters, but losing Martin Mayhew, I'm like, ugh. I mean, I didn't really want to, but if there was one guy to lose in the front office, he was it.
And you got to expect to lose. When you have as much success as the Niners have had in such a short amount of time, you have to expect to start losing a few.
I would think so, yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of senior additions to the 49ers, they have just announced that they hired former Giants and Cardinals defensive coordinator James Bettcher as a senior defensive assistant. He has many years in the NFL coaching. It's between like 15 and 20. He is 5 years, has been a defensive coordinator, 3 years in Arizona and 2 years in New York with the Giants. So he's clearly there to assist our young defensive coordinator, Demeco Ryans. Alex, what do you think about James Bettcher?
Solid, sound, hiring decision. The thing that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have done with staff the entirety of their tenure here, bringing in people and securing positions and creating an environment in which you can bounce ideas off of each other, you have people you can rely on and you trust, and that if you lack in certain areas, other guys can make up for it in other areas. Demeco Ryans, as talented as he is as a young coach, has never been in a role with this much responsibility. So by bringing in a guy with 20 years of experience, 5 years as a D coordinator, he can give you the little bits of extra detail that Demeco Ryans is going to miss. And folks, he is going to miss them. When you're doing a job for the first time, you're not going to be perfect. He's a human being. He's going to make some mistakes. Hopefully, those mistakes are limited from Bettcher's experience. Hopefully, Bettcher can help him elevate and grow as a D coordinator quicker than on his own.
Yeah, it's a good hire. Once again, Kyle Shanahan's going out and finding good coaches that he knows can add value to the staff. I mean, there's no salary cap on these coaches, so no matter what you have to do, you bring in guys that they can really count on.
Spend that money.
Spend the money. And, there's going to be other hires, too. I know they're going to be looking for assistant defensive line coach, and there's names already out there. And they're going to make other moves, but this was solid. Like you said, helping out Demeco Ryans is going to be so important, mainly just to make sure he feels comfortable with the ins and outs of what he's doing. Not to be involved directly in play calling, but just to kind of make sure this guy's game planning and stuff like that, implementation of the game plan is sound, and just that it's a smooth transition for him. There's nothing like experience, especially with helping. Experienced coaches can always help young coaches. This is one of those ways that Kyle Shanahan is making sure that he can stay focused on the entire team and not have to worry about making sure Demeco Ryans is right, because he's got somebody right there that can do it. And he's got several now good coaches that have a lot of veteran leadership that can help lead the defense with Robert Saleh's personality, passion, and ability gone. So this was a nice hire.
A couple things I like about this hire is that, one, I think this is something about Shanahan that is a positive trait, even if it doesn't sound like it, is that defense is not Kyle Shanahan's specialty. And he understands that. So he's okay with going and finding guys that know more than him about defense to go help Demeco Ryans instead of himself trying to, which I think that's a great trait. Two, James Bettcher, I know his last couple of years as a D coordinator, people, if you looked him up, it was with that sinking Titanic ship over there in New York. We're going to disregard that. His 3 years, he was defensive coordinator in Arizona. They finished 2nd, 6th, and 5th in yards allowed defensively. They were also in the top 10 in turnovers caused all 3 years. So if we look at that time, which is in the NFC West, and it was as recent as 2017, I believe, we're talking about a guy that knows the NFC West, has been very successful defensively in the NFC West, and obviously will be a great shoulder for Demeco Ryans to lean on. So I think it was another home run hire by the Niners and Kyle Shanahan, and it just shows that they are very committed to getting the right coaches in place to help their young players and veteran players play to the best of their ability.
Make sure you check out each of our episodes. They come on Tuesdays and Fridays at 5:30 Pacific. And we also have a lot of other videos that are sprinkled out throughout the week. Make sure you click the channel, check it out, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, join the conversation, have fun with that. I enjoy reading them. We enjoy commenting back. Make sure you join the conversation.
Only a few things are promised in life, folks. Death, taxes, and that our show will be on specifically at 5:30 on those days. So come join us.
We look forward to having you. I don't necessarily look forward to his plugging him specifically, but we look forward each and every week to our episodes coming out, you tuning in, and especially when you click that like button, man. That 82 likes on the video we just had recently on a certain Von Miller pass rusher guy was incredible. Really got me juiced and excited for the recording of this podcast, as well as all of our other stuff that comes out. Not steroids, no.
My guys.
Oh
my guy's always on steroids.
Oh my Lord. We look forward to we'll see you at the next episode. This is going off the rails. That's okay. 49ers Cutback. Be here. We'll see you at the next one, 5:30
Pacific.
Real quick, Jose Aloha, I'm glad you like my dad jokes. I'll try to keep them coming for you.
All right, guys, you know what time it is. Let's chalk another one up.
I'm going to specifically punch you in the face. Lean on me.
When you're not strong.
Like Hunter Renfrow, man.
All right.
All right,
That was good, man.
That was cute. That was adorable. Nice.